Hey everyone, in this video you will get some simple advice on how to become a better thinker. My name is Ilner and on my channel I usually share some education related topics and some development tips. If you haven't yet been subscribed to my channel, please do so. So let's just quickly outline what we will be calling thinking here, okay? So thinking is a deliberate and conscious cognitive act performed by someone in order to reach certain purpose. So it's usually rather practical and you're trying to achieve something by using certain thinking skills. That's what we will be calling thinking here, okay? And here I also need to tell that thinking is just a normal skill, just like any other skill, and it can be acquired, it can be practiced, and you can become better in thinking. I am myself very interested in this topic, but I will not be going into much details here, so we will be just quickly outlining the general idea of how to become a better thinker. Not many people know that there are different types of thinking, like for example there is critical thinking, or systems thinking, or creative thinking, or parallel thinking, or divergent thinking, or convergent thinking, or I don't know, there are different types of it, okay? So when people are saying a type of thinking, what does it actually mean? A type of thinking, a thinking school, some people say, is just a set of certain patterns, thinking patterns, a sequence of certain thinking actions that are brought together and which are serving a certain purpose, okay? Some of the types of thinking are pretty much universal, like for example critical thinking, okay? But some of them are rather used in certain areas, like for example systems thinking is very often used in project management. So what you can do is you can learn different types of thinking, and then when needed you can just use certain techniques taken from some other types of thinking and use them when you just need them. So how do you become a better thinker? One of the difficulties here when it comes to developing yourself as a thinker is that thinking itself is a very abstract thing, right? It's rather difficult to kind of control what's going on in your mind, right? So here I'll just list certain techniques that usually help people to become better thinkers. So first, as I said, is just trying to reflect on how you are actually thinking, and trying to take this meta position, as if you are observing your own thinking, okay, and being very curious about why you are doing it. Another thing that helps a lot in this topic is using some graphs, some schemes, some diagrams, making your thinking visual. Just take a piece of paper and just jot down your thoughts and your ideas, draw the arrows, draw the the sequence of your thoughts and so on. So it really helps, right? Because as we said, thinking is so abstract, right? So this helps a lot as well. Another tip here is to ask people to model their thinking. Like for example, if you know someone whose thinking is quite good, you might just ask them to actually articulate the way they are thinking on something. Like for example, if someone before you is solving a very complex task, what I sometimes do is I just literally go and ask the person to articulate how on earth he or she does this, the way he or she is thinking, the way he or she is approaching things, the sequence of thoughts, the patterns, the techniques that the person is using. And in this way you can understand the very logic of the thought, right? As another rather obvious tip here is actually reading some books on thinking, because there are lots of books about thinking out there, and the great thing about these books is that when you start reading them you find a lot of examples on how people are actually using these thinking patterns, and they usually connect the thinking with the practice, so this becomes obvious to you as well. And also when you get exposed to certain new ways of thinking, be it in the form of a book or maybe even online course, you kind of get used to this counterintuitive way of thinking. So this is a very important concept here, okay? Some ways of thinking will feel counterintuitive to you because you are not used to this way of thinking, okay? So these new patterns of thinking, new sequences of thinking, new logic of thinking will seem to you a very counterintuitive way of doing things. But this is like completely okay, right? Because you haven't been thinking in some other way, and these guys are suggesting you to think in some other way. That's why it will feel counterintuitive, obviously, right? Also here you need to understand that at first it will feel really slow and a bit hard at times. But the more you practice it, the more you make yourself actually use these thinking patterns, the easier it will become, because our mind is rather simple in this sense. The more you practice, the more fluent you become in a certain skill. So this, as I said, completely works with thinking as well. You might want to start with some very easy and simple books about thinking, okay? The ones that are called The Art of systems thinking, or the introduction in critical thinking, these kind of things, okay, the easy ones. And then you might go into more sophisticated ones. So as I said, this is just a skill that you can develop. One of the most beautiful things about thinking here is that by changing your thinking, you can actually change your personality in a way, and you actually can change the level of complexity of the tasks that you can cope with. So this is really powerful thing, in fact. So this is a very brief introduction into this topic, how to become a better thinker. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. If you have something to say, I'll see you in my next videos. Bye.